Welcome back to Twist of Fate, a small business podcast where we bring business leaders, entrepreneurs, and founders to the table to find what and how were the circumstances that they went on their entrepreneurial journey. I hope you find inspiration today for an episode dedicated to the members or contributors of local chambers of commerce. You see, the chambers of commerce is a unique tool to bring local businesses, small business owners together for networking, sharing of resources, and for a lot of educational opportunities. So if you're not a member of a Chamber of Commerce, I encourage you to pursue one. Now, to my Twist of Fate listeners, you may not know, I'm a member of many chambers of commerce in the state of California, as well as even in Chicago. I joined a Chamber of Commerce where all of my business offices for my business, 3 Steps Forward, are located. But today I'm here to talk about a special relationship that I have with the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. And I have a very special member, Angeli, who's going to talk a little bit about what she does, what I do with chambers, and all the benefits that you may be missing out on. So, Angeli, welcome, my friend, to Twist of Fate.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks for having me.
Angeli, you're a public affairs manager at the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce, correct?
Correct, yes. I have been here for a little over a year and a half, but I have a background in state and local policy issues and politics, and I've been a government affairs professional for a little over 5 years now.
So, Angeli, for me, the local Chamber of Commerce is an opportunity to join a community of like-minded business owners or entrepreneurs that are going to share resources to accomplish goals that are a mutual benefit. And if anything, even for me personally, I think the Chamber of Commerce is a responsibility to improving your local community. So I'm just curious, in your mind, like, what does the Chamber of Commerce mean to you, more broad, holistically? Like, I think a lot of people may not fully understand what a Chamber of Commerce even is.
A Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit organization that brings local businesses together to help make sure that anything that goes on locally is in the best interest of the business community, but also ensures that we're improving the quality of life in the region. So I think it's two things. It's definitely helping the business community, but also helping San Diego thrive as a city.
So for me, that translates for a lot of the entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs that are my listeners, that if you don't participate in the networking and the opportunities of the Chamber of Commerce, you're going to be more isolated with your new idea or isolated in your commercial process, and you may not have voice with what's going on in the local community or a lot of the resources that are sharing. And I think that's what makes the Chamber of Commerce a part of your go-to-market strategy. Like, you have to participate actively in a lot of the events at the Chamber. So thanks for sharing that. Now, would you mind telling me a little bit more about your involvement and role at the San Diego Chamber? And then we'll definitely talk a little bit more about the Chamber itself.
Absolutely. So I am part of the Public Policy and International Business Affairs team, which is a team of 6. 4 of us work on local, state, federal policy and external affairs, and 2 of our team members are specifically working on cross-border relations on behalf of our membership. We always do everything with our mission in mind to make San Diego the best place to live and work, especially for our businesses, large and small. And our focus areas range from land use, housing, transportation, childcare, sustainability, and veterans issues, and how they affect the businesses in San Diego.
Fantastic. Fantastic. No, I got all excited because you mentioned the keyword veterans, because the veteran community of San Diego is substantial, and a lot of my work with the San Diego Gulls is related to veteran business ownership and celebrating that. And many of your chamber members have met me at San Diego games. So Angeli, you can tell. I mean, I'm a very social guy. So participation in a chamber of commerce comes easy for me. But for some entrepreneurs that may be introverted or like the stereotypical inventor that, you know, they are more type B and they're not as outgoing, why for you do you think in a world that's, you know, constantly pushing you to lose more of your free time, why participate in the Chamber of Commerce? Like what is, you know, what do they have to gain in doing that?
Well, I would say that we're your voice in the region. If you don't have the time to advocate for your business interest or just your business industry's interest, we're there for you. And it's going back to our mission. You know, we want to help make San Diego the best place to live and work. And our local leaders can't do that without hearing from you all or hearing from us about what matters most to an inventor or a larger company.
I think this is a very special role that you have. And if you don't mind me asking, so, you know, how did you get into public affairs? Like, what was the thing that inspired you into government type of work?
So I actually had no business doing politics. And when I went to college, I majored in social sciences with becoming a social worker in mind. And I started grad school for that, and I quickly left after 2 semesters. Just wasn't my thing. It's a very hard job to do, and I really appreciate and applaud everyone who does that. But while I was in between jobs, I decided to intern for my local state senator, and that's where it started off. So I interned for a local state senator. I worked for a few nonprofits with doing event planning and fundraising, and then I got into public policy, specifically in the land use and housing sectors, with the local nonprofit trade associations here. So the Building Industry Association is a place where I used to work. Circulate San Diego, which emphasizes more on transportation and sustainable land use policies, is where I used to work. And then I met Stephanie Benvenuto, my boss, who works at the chamber right now, through those organizations, and now I'm here. So I like to say I fell into politics. I had no intention of doing it. I definitely don't intend on running for office or doing anything like that.
Never say never. Never say never.
But I love what I do, and I love our members. I love working for both, you know, small and large businesses here and doing what I'm able to do.
I think this is an interesting segue and a point that I'd like to make to my listeners, that the Chambers of Commerce is this interesting intersection between politics, business, that those are two different worlds, but they sometimes collide and sometimes collaborate, in that the needs of the business community can be expressed when you group up and, you know, talking about business licenses or talking to city council. Like, I find chambers to be a great place for representation for small business. So I think you have a very interesting background, and I'm looking forward to talking more. So maybe you could tell our listeners a little bit more about the San Diego Regional Chamber, because it's very large. I believe it's over 3,500 businesses.
Yeah, so we are the largest local chamber on the West Coast. We represent over 2,500 employers right now. I think that number has changed this year. I hope it's around 3,500, I think. We have a wonderful membership team who handles all of that and the business relationships we have here. And, you know, again, we have everyone from every single different industry that you can imagine represented here. So we do have nonprofit organizations. We do have all of the hospital systems who are chamber members. We have life science companies. We have representatives from labor too, who are part of the chamber. And then we have small businesses. I think about 95% of our membership are small businesses.
Maybe you could elaborate for my Twist of Fate listeners what are the types of events or programs that your chamber runs that what I view delivers value for entrepreneurship? Like there's a lot of things that your chamber particularly is doing.
Yeah, we have over 70 different events every year, and they benefit our membership in different ways, from networking and business relationships to just recognizing businesses or elected leaders. And then from what we do on the PPIBA team, that's what we call us for short, we handle all of the policy and political events. But specifically for emerging businesses, we have quite a few different types of events. One is called Business Alliance Group. And a Business Alliance Group, they meet pretty frequently, I think every 2 weeks, and they help each other collaborate on sales techniques, presentation skills, business relationships, creating strategic partnerships with maybe another business that you wouldn't specifically think you would create a partnership with, referral exchanges, etc. We recently had our one of our bigger events of the year, our 2022 Small Business Awards last week, where it's a mixer and a networking mixer, but it's a chance for us to also recognize several of our region's small businesses and nonprofits who have made a lot of contributions to the region.
Throughout my time as a member, which I'm going on over 2 years, those mixer events are special because any new member gets an opportunity to introduce themselves to the broader group and what their business service is. And then you're able to network and kind of find your place. For me, I think I started in the healthcare group, and the reason for that is in my career, I had a 20-year career as a med device executive. Although my new business in marketing, it's agnostic. Like it doesn't matter. It's not just healthcare, but it seemed that my perspective could deliver value in that group. And then now I've grown into contributing to the chamber in a unique way. Like I'm not sure. Have you ever attended any of my webinars? I don't know that you've attended. Have you?
I haven't, because there's always a public policy meeting going on, but I was able to watch a recording of the Managing Your Brand that happened about a month ago. And then I listened to your goals podcast or episode with the goals.
Oh, look at you.
That was really cool.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you. You did your homework, right?
Gotta do my homework. Gotta do it.
So to my listeners, as a startup, I felt it was very important as you make success that to give back to your local chamber is a way you can give back to your local community. And instead of growing and alienating your company and all the possible wealth generation that you do from the other local businesses and local communities, I felt being an active participant in the local chamber was a part of becoming a positive societal force of change as a young company. And at the time I had expressed to the regional chamber that I was teaching actually a class at Cal State University in digital marketing. And they, at the time, I think it was Fred and a few of the other members, felt like, what if I started doing webinars or virtual webcasts to educate other members about different forms of business, outreach, marketing, and to your point, I think I've done over a dozen of them now. And many of the members, we have built a very, very great relationship where they give their views and their perspectives, and we kind of learn together.
That's great. I definitely want to catch the next one.
Fantastic. And then, I think for me, I'd like to learn a little bit more. So what are some of the other, it's like these committees that you put together certain people. So you mentioned the healthcare one. I know there's a veteran one, right?
Yes, there is.
So,
yes.
So could you tell us about a few more of those committees? Because a lot of my listeners may be able to join one in their local chamber that may be doing something similar.
Absolutely. So we have a ton of different committees. The committee meetings are all being held online right now. And it's all done by our PPIBA team. So we have Defense, Veterans, and Military Affairs Committee, We have a sustainability and industry committee. We have a transportation and land development committee. And then we have our public policy committee. And these four committees report to the board of directors when it comes to policy issues, recommendations on ballot measures or state bills. But also, the committees are there to be a resource for our members who are interested in the specific industries that I just mentioned. You don't have to be an expert. And while we can't do it in person, because I think that was a big part of it, is that everyone can network with each other, we're still able to find that great social interaction online, and people don't have to leave their homes to do it.
People that have certain skills in certain sectors is key. Like, I attended during the pandemic lockdown, the health committee, and they brought on a lot of public health representatives to talk about how the lockdown's affecting people from a public health perspective and also economically. And a lot of members were able to ask questions, and at that time where information flow was inconsistent and there's a lot of concerns, it was really informative for me. So this is a good segue to what I'd like to ask you. When a person becomes a member of the chamber, do you have any recommendations on how they can get the most out of their membership? If that means attending as many meetings as possible, what do you feel is a best practice that you see from top members in your chamber?
Great question. I definitely would say try everything once. You might be joining the chamber because you just really want to work on business relationships and networking with other people in your industry, but we have so many other things to offer: political things, policy committees, and just webinars on how to build your brand. So I would definitely say try it all once, even though maybe you're joining the chamber for just one thing.
Mm-hmm. That's a great recommendation. And I can tell you for myself, I'm not sure if you knew that the 3 Steps Forward is an official partner of the San Diego Gulls. And true story, I was in a chamber mixer, and I think I was at the time talking about my partnership with the NBA and kind of what we were doing with comparing sports, small business as an economic force for recovery from the pandemic. And that inspired a representative of the San Diego Gulls, who was a member of your chamber, to approach us, and we started talking mutually. And after about 6 months, it led to it's basically the Veteran Hero of the Game Award, which is presented by and sponsored by 3 Steps Forward and the San Diego Gulls.
Oh, that's so great.
So that's how it happened. Actually, this all happened in the San Diego Chamber. So again, kudos to you. There's your case study, right? Of adding value. Mm-hmm. I talk a lot to the entrepreneurs that the cardinal sin of the entrepreneur is I shall do it myself, as opposed to cooperating with a lot of individuals that may have resources, networks, connections. Is there any other partnerships that you're aware of like this that may have started in the chamber?
So the chamber is part of a business industry coalition that we always keep each other up to date on what's going on. We might not have the same position on issues, but we are related in some way. So for example, the Downtown San Diego Partnership, they are also a business organization, but they focus primarily on downtown, obviously. And they also bring in a lot of the community and nonprofit organizations into their membership as well. So we talk to them from time to time. We collaborate on things. The San Diego Regional Economic Development Corporation, which is a little bit down the street from us in downtown also, they work on bringing new businesses and industries into San Diego and encouraging that economic growth. And while they focus more on that and maybe the research of everything, we collaborate with them a lot too.
Yeah, it's an important function. Again, business, politics coming together, and then discussions, and I agree, we may not all agree, right? We may not all see it the same way, but the point is we all move forward together. That's the American way. So I think it's great that you mentioned that. So if you don't mind, I'd love to shift the discussion a little bit into you personally. So what inspired you to take your craft in public affairs and kind of looking at participating in the Chamber of Commerce as an employee? Like, you chose to not necessarily be a member, but actually to work in the chamber. Was there a desire? Like, what was the events that led to that? Like, was it a mutual friend or introduction, or just curious?
So, yeah, I mean, working in public policy is definitely not for everyone, and I think we're all a little crazy and we love attention, maybe, like an elected official. But I would say that it starts with my family and our family values. And my parents both immigrated here from the Philippines, and they sacrificed a lot to get here and to provide for our family. And they've instilled with me since the beginning how important family and community is. They wouldn't raise me without, the help of friends and people around them, and how important it is to be kind to others and to always give back. So that was instilled with me from the very beginning. I knew I wanted to work in that sort of field, which is why I thought social work would be great. But I realized I can do a lot more and advocate for, people who might not be able to advocate for themselves right now by going into public policy. I definitely have heard about the chamber throughout my other jobs and how influential they are in the San Diego region. Again, because they do a really great job at advocating for their businesses, but also just what they stand for and what they do for the San Diego community as a whole. And I'm really fortunate that I kind of just named my boss, my mentor, when I first met her. I was like, I'm gonna latch onto you, and I want to follow you and see where you go and see how you get there. And so I definitely think that the people here make it a great place to work for, in addition to what we do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I can say, like, I work with Monica or Grace Tayama or Robert, Fred. I mean, the camaraderie that you all have, it's infectious. It's fun. And I think it's important for entrepreneurs to not feel alone and to have support. And I can definitely attest that you guys have done that. Maybe some other interesting points that I'd like to talk about, like, a lot of chambers of commerce offer resources as well. Grants, awards. Is there any particular resources that you guys offer, like even job boards and things like this, or career fairs like in a year? Like, what are some interesting, perks that a member could get working with your chamber?
We do that too. We are here to be a resource for you all. So we do have connections, and I forgot a bigger coalition that we have is, we have connections with nearly every chamber of commerce in the region. So from East County to San Ysidro, and we have a contact in each area that we can always connect you with. We do from time to time ask companies, if you are hiring, if you need information to get out there, let us know, and we'll put it in the various newsletters that we provide.
That's awesome.
So we have, so for PPIBA, actually, we provide a newsletter update every week. It's more specific to policy and politics, but we always include anything that a chamber member would like us to include that we feel is important. So an upcoming event, again, career opportunities, maybe a job fair that a certain company is hosting. We're happy to include that in our newsletter and get that out there. And the plus with that is that elected officials and their staffers are also part of that listserv. so they get that information and they can also send that out to their communities.
I mean, obviously, my assumption is the Chamber of Commerce fuels itself or its revenue models based on memberships. So at the end of the day, you get more members, you have a bigger budget. But is there any like philanthropic or donations or, is it government subsidies or like, I'm just curious, how can some of my community help what the San Diego Regional Chamber do beyond just becoming a member?
So, there are other organizations in San Diego that specifically are in the philanthropic sector and would like to help people and companies do that. And I don't want to take away from what they're doing and the work they're doing. So I would definitely recommend people check out Catalyst of San Diego and Imperial counties. I actually serve on the Public Policy Committee, and they do great work.
If I understand correctly, is that the chamber is not necessarily looking for donations, but like in this case, you work with other philanthropic or nonprofit organizations in the San Diego region.
Yeah, and a lot of nonprofits are also our members too that we can absolutely connect a business with. For example, I think Jewish Family Service of San Diego is a recent new member that definitely would, they thrive on contributions, and they do amazing things from helping with immigration affairs to helping to address the homelessness crisis.
Yeah, I think great point that you're bringing here for a lot of the listeners out there is that the Chamber of Commerce has a lot of knowledge of local philanthropy, what's happening in city council, what's happening in economic councils, and they can point you in the right direction. I know that I've networked with some great San Diego philanthropic organizations. How would a listener, if they want to make contact with the regional chamber in San Diego, what is the process? Like, is it you just apply online? Like, is there a certain point of contact that they should do? Like, if you could, kind of talk through the process of becoming a member.
There's a few ways. So we are very accessible on our chamber website. We have a team webpage where it lists all of our emails and our LinkedIn. And if we have a Twitter, we have our Twitter in there too. We also do have a web-based form that people can fill out if they're interested in chamber membership. And our membership team is amazing at what they do, and they're very responsive. There's always someone that's going to get back to you, definitely within the next day or so if you're interested in learning more.
Well, look, I really appreciate your time in elaborating on the importance of your Chamber of Commerce to the San Diego community. In reflections, I want to turn to break the fourth wall, as I'm known to do, and talk to my listeners. Like, look, guys, if we're going to make the world a better place, we need small business, the backbone in America. And for small business to succeed, we have to take a responsible approach to business, which means taking responsibility for our communities. And one of the ways that you can do that is joining a local Chamber of Commerce. As you've heard from Angeli here, there's opportunities in networking, connections, knowledge. You can join committees. You can get member perks like joining webinars and webcasts to improve your business acumen. You can network and get your brand out there. And overall, you can join the community. You can get connected to politicians. You can get connected to city government. You can get connected to councils. And again, with the theme of cooperating, that may not necessarily lead to a direct ROI, but through that participation and following your passions and helping others, when you do things you're passionate about and make the world a better place, the money will come. So that's my 2 cents for you. Please check out the local Chamber of Commerce. Angeli, again, you're a rock star. Thanks for joining. Keep doing what you're doing and crusading for small business. Please consider sharing, subscribing, liking any of our content. We're trying to produce as much free content as we can to help you chase your dreams, find them, and have the entrepreneurial skill to sustain them. So with that, I'll see you on the next episode of Twist of Fate.
Twist of Fate is hosted by Doug Younger. It's produced by John Lundvid and Matthew Brown at Ezo Creative. Moni Yu designs our graphics, and Enrique Pimentel manages our digital life. Our theme music is by Jamie Bathgate. Special thanks to all of our patrons. You can support the show by visiting patreon.com/twistoffate podcast. Thanks for listening.